Now, that's the hospital cuts. The third piece, and to me the most important piece, and in some sense the piece I guess I'm most disappointed that Doug and I disagree on, is the Cadillac tax. Okay, economists have called for 40 years to get rid of the regressive, inefficient, and expensive tax subsidy to employer-provided health insurance. No economist, and I'm sure Doug agrees with this, no economist would ever set up a health system with a tax subsidy to employer-provided health insurance. It's a terrible policy. Turns out politically it's really hard to get rid of. And the only way we could take it on was first by mislabeling it, calling it a tax on insurance plans rather than a tax on people, and we all know it's really a tax on people who hold those insurance plans. And the second way was to start it late, started in 2018. But by starting it late, we're able to tie the cap for the Cadillac tax to the CPI, not to medical inflation. What that means is a tax which starts by only taxing about the top 8% of health insurance plans essentially amounts over the next 20 years to basically getting rid of the exclusion for employer-provided health insurance. This was the only political way we were ever going to take on what is one of the worst public policies in America. And every economist should celebrate this. This is an unbelievable victory for our profession because we took on something we've said is bad, that is a huge political constituency. Unions, employers, huge political constituency. And we took it on, and got rid of it in the most expeditious way we possibly could have politically. Now, Doug's right. That means that it doesn't start till 2018. But let's talk about 2018. Let's talk about it coming in 2018. And let's talk about the unions coming forward and saying we shouldn't do this in 2018. At that point, if they want to get rid of it, they're going to have to fill a $1 trillion hole in the deficit to get rid of it. Okay? It's on the books now. Every year it's raising more and more because that 10-year budget window rolls forward. Okay? This is the opposite of a fiscal gimmick. And I strongly disagree with Doug's contention about this bill. The Class Act is a gimmick. I agree with that. But that's tiny. Okay? The big issue here, the Class Act is a timing gimmick. But that's really in the noise and the size of this bill. The big issue here is the Cadillac tax. That's what it's all about. And basically, this is the opposite of a gimmick. Every single piece of fiscal legislation that Clinton and Bush passed all had these gimmicks. They all play these timing games so they look good in the budget window and bad out of the budget window. Democrats and Republicans alike are guilty of this. This is the first piece of legislation in the last 20 years that gets better over time. It reduced the deficit more outside the budget window than it does inside the budget window. We never did that before. We always had things which looked good for 10 years and then went south. Okay? Look at the gimmicks that happened with the Bush tax cuts. Okay? That's the opposite here. We have something which gets better over time. So if a union or someone wants to stop this in 2018, they're going to have to face up to the fact they're going to have to find a $1 trillion hole to fill. Okay? And that basically this will take place. But ultimately, this is in some sense just a fundamental source of disagreement that empirically there's no way to resolve, which is basically the faith that Congress can carry out the plans it laid out. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. I have faith that if Congress puts these cuts in place and the tax increase in place, it will carry them out. Doug doesn't. And that's a legitimate source of disagreement. But that really is sort of the main issue it comes down to.